Hello, and welcome back to this Christian Walk podcast, the show where no topic is too taboo to empower you on your walk with God. I'm your host, Marley B., and it is my privilege to welcome you to the conversation. Today is a special conversation that is going to, I hope, inspire you to not only pursue a relationship with God, but to consider what it means to forgive. When we think about being a Christian, we're always thinking about how we're supposed to forgive others. But we don't take time to really think about how important it is to forgive ourselves. And today I invited my good friend, Ms. Rena Renee, to share her story of her decision of deciding after 5 decades that she was finally going to forgive herself. It was a great conversation, and I can't wait to invite you in. So let's get into it.
Walk with me, talk with me. What you know about God, will he ride with me? Come and open my eyes for me, hear my story. Show me more what's in store. And once more, listen, homie, can you walk?
So, Ms. Rena Renee, I would like to officially welcome you to this Christian Walk podcast.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Thank
I'm
you
doing
so much for being here. I'm so glad to see you. I feel like we're talking on the phone all the time, but I finally get to see you. So it's good to see you. Just to kind of, people will know how we came to meet, right? So last season, my first season, season 1, your goddaughter, LaShawna, but you affectionately call her Pooh, but I call her LaShawna, right? She was on the show sharing her experience about losing two very close loved ones to COVID and how she's been dealing with that traumatic event. And, telling her story was really therapeutic for her. And you got a chance to watch that. And you reached out to her and then got my information so that you could reach out to me pretty much, or, gave the okay so that I could reach out to you because you were interested in telling me a story about a traumatic event that you encountered when you were young and that you're still dealing with and hadn't really spoke about, even to those closest to you, family members, friends. This is something you had just been secretly dealing with for over 5 decades.
Yes.
And you were to the point where you're like, you know what? I want to tell my story too. And not because it would just help me, because it will. Telling that story will help you, but it was also because you could possibly help somebody else.
Yes.
And I just was in awe of you then. I just appreciated you and for trusting me with that, one. But the fact that you're here, not just for yourself, but for to bless others, that's what this show is all about. And I just want to thank you so much for your bravery in advance. And just, I can't thank you enough for, being on the show, right?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and give you a chance to tell us about that experience that happened to you when you were younger.
Well, I was 10 years old. We stayed in New York, and I was 10.
Is that in
And
Ohio? York,
New York,
Ohio?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Oh, New York. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I was 10 and my sister was 6. And we was washing dishes, and evidently, but kids, we playing around in the kitchen because where she was drying the dishes, the cover was on top of the stove. So I don't believe my mother left that stove on. I'm thinking my sister must have accidentally turned it on because we was playing in the kitchen to do dishes.
Mhm.
So while we in the kitchen, now remember that I got water in my hand, and everybody keeps saying I was a kid, but still, we was washing dishes, and her dress caught on fire, and she turned to me and said, "Renee, look, help me." And I said, "Just a minute, let me go get mom," not knowing what I was gonna see when I came back.
Mhm.
I came back. My sister was a ball of fire, screaming and howling. The pain, I can I can only imagine the pain she was going through. And it always bothered me that I don't know, could I have done something? Did I leave? Did she think I left her? You know, and I'm doing good because I usually be crying by now. Mm-hmm. So I've been seeing a therapist. So I'm doing really great with the story, telling the story now. But I didn't even realize I had two other sisters in the house. That's how much I just remember that last year. My sister told me. I even forgot that I had two other sisters that was in the house. I kind of just totally blanked them out. Mm-hmm. And I always wonder how the door got open. So I went down to get help with my mom. I said, Mom, you got to come back. Pat is on fire. And you know, the thing that bothered me was who leaves somebody to where I felt like I left her to die. You know, mm-hmm. I left her burning, knowing that I had water in my hand. I had a towel. These are things that the kids know now that I didn't know back in the 60s, that what I could have done for her. Mm-hmm. So when we did open the door, she just flew out of my mother's hand, burning up, screaming, fire everywhere. You know, she was just like they see on TV. This is reality. And they tried to hide my face, but I had already seen, and I saw the skin on the ground. And, you know, I saw her, you know, the scream, and I'm thinking, it's my fault, what I should have done. So I learned to shut down from that. I didn't tell my mother that, even though I felt like I didn't know at the time that she might have been going through changes, but I was going through changes. And I never forgot that. We don't talk about my sister, Pat. It's a subject we talk about. I lost another sister. I lost my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother, and we'll talk about them, you know, the happy days, good day, but Pat, we really don't talk about it. So I was, you know, like, I needed to talk about Pat, but I saw it was just something we didn't do. And so being shut down like it did, I learned early to shut down, which is not good for kids, for parents to realize it's not good to have your kids, and not to tell them the same thing or to shut them down, because then they go through what I went through. By learning to shut down, I tell my mother how I felt, because back in the 60s, we didn't have, if you saw the therapist, not only one, it was expensive too, you was crazy. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know how to tell my mother that I can't handle what I saw. It was bothering me. So then by shutting down from that, you know, my father would leave, come back, fight my mother, and come back. And then he would take me to the park with meet his girlfriend, tell me not to say anything. So I learned to shut down from that. You know, I had to shut my mouth. So, you know, we went to the baby. My mother would she had to work because, you know, she had to take care of us. And I never told her that the boy was molesting me, the babysitter, which was a teenager too. So I've shut down with that too. So this has been something I never told to nobody, even out to my husband. It's something that I've just never shared with anybody. But the thing that bothered me so that I didn't get a chance to tell my sister I came back. I was hoping she came back so I could tell her I came back for her.
Right. And I know dealing with the pain of all the things that she might have thought about you had to be the thing that hurt the most.
Yeah, I came back for her, but I should have never left her. I had water in my hand. You know, I could have splashed it on her. I could have had her dress off. You know, but I didn't know. And but the main thing, I was hoping she'd be okay. So I went and got Mom. I came back. You know, I'm the big sister. I came back. So when my other sister told me that how the door was open, that Pat got in, but she just told me this story last year, that brought back up feelings. When she told me, I was wondering how did we go do it. We stayed in New York and the door was still, so it was hard to get in. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering how we got in that door, because we was pushing, everybody was pushing. And we couldn't get in. So my sister said, Pat is at the door. She won't leave. So with understanding that Pat had to know what's going on, she moved away from the door for my sister to open up the door, and she just flew out into my mother's hand. And my mother tried to put it out. My mother still had like little burns. She tried to put it out with the fire, you know, her hands.
You say your mom still had a burns on her hand from
yeah, she has a little spot on her hand when she did try to put Pat out. And it was traumatizing me, but how do I fix that? How do I tell that? Well, it was triggered again when my I call my sister friends, I got two friends that's close to me. And even now to Valmont, I have when I call you my friend, you close to me. Mm-hmm. I adopted your kids and my kids. So when my sister friend niece husband caught on fire, died in a house fire, he made it out. But that triggered me to know that he wasn't in that house burning alive. Mm-hmm. Because the scream that I heard from Pat burning is something you don't want to hear.
Right.
Something you don't want to even see of a loved one.
So what you're saying is like, you started having these, the triggers of it being the issues that you've been having, the guilt that you've been feeling, the shame that you've been feeling around that incident because somebody else had recently died because of a fire.
Yes.
And that's how trauma works. We think that we can wait it out. We think that, oh, I grew out of that. That was so many years ago, but we have to deal with those feelings. And I think that's one thing. That's why I was so proud of you for saying, you know what, I need to deal with this. Right. And I remember, and you said around the stigma of how, especially back in the 60s, but even now, the whole stigma around seeking help for mental health. If you're going to go to see a counselor or a therapist or a psychiatrist, people automatically want to stamp the crazy stamp on you when that's nowhere near the case. This is me. And, if my leg is broke, you expect me to see a doctor. If I'm sick, you expect me to go to the ER and see a doctor or a nurse or something to fix it. But when it comes to our emotions, our feelings, and our thoughts even, they think that we're supposed to fix that on our own. And that's just not the case. It really takes having that person that can guide you through those feelings. Because I tell anybody, feelings are heavy lifting, and you really need a hand from a professional. And it can't always be friends. It can't always be family because they're dealing with their own stuff. And we all got at least one friend that you try to talk to them and they only quiet long enough for you to take a breath so they can start talking about them. And so we don't want to deal with that, especially when we're talking about stuff that can essentially cripple us. These are things that are weighing us down, and it changes your personality. Like you said, you learn to shut down, right?
At the early age, to shut down. I learned to carry on a fence, and I love that that you sent me a Pastor Michael Todd.
Yes.
So with all the fence I had and the other fence I was carrying on until I just learned to shut down. You can say something about me, it might hurt my feelings, or I can be mad, but I just shut it down. And that was a low. So to have that, not only did I lose 50 pounds, which was a pound, See, I lost additional 50 pounds with the load that I was carrying because I never told it how bad that really, really, truly bothered me. That I felt like, I know I didn't personally kill her, but I left her to die because I did not, you don't leave somebody who's on fire. Mm-hmm. But I did. I told her to wait. And now knowing I know how fire is, you can't wait for fire.
Yes.
But, my mind thinking that's probably going to still be there when she got back and mama was going to be able to take care of it. Where it didn't.
And you know what? We were talking about stop, drop, and roll, right? And I remember you said it wasn't out because this is the 60s when this was going on. And I was so curious that I looked up when, because I know you said it came out later, but I'm like, when did Stop, Drop, and Roll come out? Because it's been out my entire life, so I expected it to be, you never think of when stuff started. But I looked it up, and it was on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Dick Van Dyke did a PSA. It was like the first fire safety PSA, and it was in the late 70s. And I'm like, wow. And when you think about how many kids could have been saved by knowing that stop, drop, and roll before then. But even after stop, drop, and roll, I looked at some statistics that 400 kids every year in this country die of house fire related instances. You know what I'm saying? So this isn't something like, I understand that you feel the guilt around it, but this is something that was, I mean, there was nothing really there to prepare you for it. So I hope, you know, looking at it from that angle helps you know even furthermore that it wasn't your fault. It's
You
kids
know,
still now today not
I
prepared for
understand.
something like that happens.
I understand what you're saying and the therapist saying, but I feel like Pat have forgiven me because she's in heaven. She automatically went to heaven.
Yes.
So she may be in heaven hating me. So I have come with grip at bringing the therapist that she have forgave me. I haven't totally forgave myself, you know, and me seeing a therapist, I guess I still was kind of ashamed because I broke my ankle and I told everybody I fell. I didn't tell them where I fell from because it's still a shame thing. Like, what you saying a therapist, that thing happened decades ago. So why is you still worrying about that? But it's never left me. It's just something, I can deal with death. But that one, I just could never shake it.
And so you going to the therapist secretly because you didn't want to face the backlash of what people might say about it. Yeah. And then when you actually told, and then you end up breaking your leg trying to sneak off and had to tell people. And then when you told them, how was it compared to what you thought would happen?
Actually, everybody took it like, you know what, we understand you as a kid, you can't blame yourself. So, but like I said, it took like 4 sections for me to go ahead and tell her. I feel really comfortable. Yeah. But the backlash I get from that, nobody's like, you should have done this, you should have done this, you should have done this, you should have done that. It was all that, I was a kid, but I know I was a kid, but still, I know you're not supposed to question God. But
that's a tough one. God, look, God is about it. Sometimes you got to question God. Sometimes you got to say, why was this for? And I believe he answers us.
I don't know what the meaning was behind that, but I had water in my hand. I had water in my hand. I washed dishes.
It's okay. It's okay.
Why? These kids nowadays. I was looking at a TV the other day with the 7-year-old. There was a fire in the house, and he went and told his parents the house burned down, but everybody got out safe. So why didn't I have that kind of knowledge? Why didn't I get that knowledge? What was the reason for her to go like she did? And she died a bad death. Burning alive is terrible. Screaming, howling on fire. It's terrible. And something, I'm 66. And something I've been dealing with for years. And I'm still working on it. I'm getting better. Because I can tell the story without doing too much crying. But prior to that, I didn't tell the story at all. And then, then they had my babysitter mess with me, I didn't deserve that either, So my story is, what I want people to get out is that when something happened to you as an adult and you have children, they need help too. Don't think they don't. Just because they look like they running around playing, like I was doing, running around playing, they need help too. And for the kids that's being molested or touched on, whatever, if you're scared to tell your parents, leave notes so somebody can see notes. Like, somebody messed with me, give a little head. Don't keep this down, because if you do, it would weigh on you. And my therapist said, the good thing of this whole thing that I was strong. So I know God had me.
Mm-hmm.
I was stronger than I was because what I went through, he said some people would have just
Gave
went,
up.
broke down.
Yeah.
Would it just lost. And and I have two beautiful sons, 6 beautiful grandkids, my mother, my sisters, we got my nieces and my nephew. We all, I got to meet my sisters that, lived in Cincinnati, and my brothers, and so I got to meet more family. So from a happy family, and we all doing great. I got great friends. So I'm in a good place, nice marriage, nice home and everything. But that part of my life,
Mm-hmm. That trauma, you got to address it. I'm proud of you for addressing it. Now, how did you feel? Because this was your first time going to therapy ever, right?
Yes.
And I think I commend you on that, right? And we was praying and because I just kind of found a therapist online for you. I'm not even in the same town as you, but I did not want you to come on and go back into the that time of your life without some support in place, right? I'm like, I think it's important for you to tell your story, but it's also important for you to have support for your emotional health.
And I thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Because when I talked to you, I was such a case, you couldn't even understand what I was talking about. And you said, I need to find you a therapist. So I thank you for that because that's what I needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you tell to somebody who's scared to go to therapy, but know they got some feelings that they need to address?
Call me. Because it's not as bad. If you don't want to tell anybody for a while, you can. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But go seek help because mental health is a problem. I'm not saying I got a mental problem, but I had a mental shutdown from the death of my sister, and I was like 10 years old. And like I said, so me still dealing with her, I can listen to songs and start crying. I could be laying in the bed and she comes in my mind. When I see her, she comes to mind with her dress on fire saying, look, Renee, help me. That stuff comes to my mind, like she looking at her big sister and her big sister ran.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't run to leave her. And then that's the therapist, gave us different type of modes that you go into. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't leave her, but do she realize, did she realize I didn't leave her? Was she, was she thinking, I'm on fire, my big sister left me, and then like I said, I forgot all about it. I had 2 other sisters. So she could have ran and got the other sisters caught on fire, the way fire spread,
Mm-hmm.
but she had enough sense that with the other sister that was running from her, she didn't touch her.
Mm-hmm.
She kept, this kept running from her and she didn't go for her.
And how old was Pat at the time?
6.
She was 6. She was 6 and you were 10.
Yeah. So she had enough sense to know not to get the other kids on fire, but I didn't have enough sense to put out. So yes, I'm dealing with that, and I'll probably deal with that for a long time.
The road to forgiving yourself is a long road, but it's better to be on a long road than be stuck in a ditch somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You on the road to forgiving yourself. It's a process. And just like Pastor Mike told us, you mentioned Pastor Michael Todd, that's I have a pastor, but that's my own line. That's my own line pastor. Yeah. That's like my virtual pastor. I love Pastor Mike, Transformation Nation, Transformation Church. He breaks that word down for us, and he did a series called Forgiveness University that was a life changer for me, and I was so glad that I had that information to share with you and that you found it to be helpful, because while forgiving others is important, the first person you're gonna have to forgive about situations is yourself. And it's hard to forgive yourself because you can't see a lot of the times that sometimes you just don't feel like that you deserve forgiveness. And we got to be real about that. And you deserve to be forgiven. No matter what you knew, what you did not know, you deserve to forgive yourself because God has already forgiven you. Pat has already forgiven you. So it's only up to you.
Yes.
And I definitely commend you for being on that road. I think that, and you said you lost 50 pounds?
Yeah, I lost 50.
When did you lose 50 pounds?
I go to Weight Watchers. So I'm a Weight Watcher lifetime membership.
Okay.
So yeah, I lost 50 pounds. So along with that, I just felt like I had a break. And I'm having a big 4th of July party.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And wants to know why I'm having this big 4th of July. I think I might invite about 50, 60 people because I'm celebrating life. I'm like with the cancer, I'm 5 years cancer free.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
My ankles is healing. My mental, I'm going through that. I'm having, working on that. Everybody got through this COVID. Some of my friends and family didn't, but I made it through. And then it's like we celebrate life.
Yes.
So I'm trying to uplift myself of celebrating life, that I'm still here. Like I said, I got the greatest kids and grandkids, and I live for the grandkids. Yeah. I live for my grandbabies.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I mean, I commend you on being on this road though, Miss Renee. I told you, I know it's a long one, but you have impressed me. I've been in awe with your progress. I keep tabs on you. I'm like, I'm not gonna let too much time go by without saying, let me find out how Miss Renee doing. I have to talk to Miss Renee in a minute. I want to make sure she okay. And we was talking and I just not able to really see you, and which I love to be able to see you, but I just love to hear that you're not allowing that trauma to stunt you anymore, and that you see the benefits and taking that plunge and going into therapy, going into whatever you need to do in order to feel better, because that's what God wants for you. He don't want it for any of us. He don't want us to be living in guilt and shame or no condemnation. That's not what he meant for us. And I love you. I love that you going after your abundant life, because that's what you deserve.
Yes, that's what I'm going for.
That's what
I'm going for. Like I said, and my sister made me a rock, and it says "Young Wings." I sent it to you. I forgot the words with this.
Yeah, it was a beautiful rock. Yeah.
And so that's in my yard. So every time I go out, maybe to look at my rock and remember Pat more. To face that she is gone, but face that she's gone and she's in a better place. She did suffer, but God didn't let her suffer more than she had to, because if she died right then. Once they got in the hospital, she died. So he didn't, but to say God don't let you suffer more than you have to. And I might not be paraphrasing everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. He won't put on you more than you can bear. That's it. He won't put more on you that you can bear. That's it.
I don't never get anything right.
Oh no, don't say that. We ain't gonna claim that over you. You got it right. It's the same thing. Tomato.
But she didn't suffer no more. She left, so she didn't suffer anymore. So, but I didn't get to say goodbye to her because we couldn't go to the hospital. So I didn't get that. A lot of people get to say goodbye to their loved one. I didn't get to say goodbye to her. So my rock that's in my yard, every day I go out there like goodbye.
Yeah. Yes. Because Pat can she can hear you. She can hear you.
Yes.
Well, I know that she is proud of you. I know that she is proud of you. And I'm definitely proud of you. And you continue to stay on the path of healing and be a champion for mental health. Because in all it take is, and it's not about doing a PSA yourself, it's just about just living better. And people gonna say, hey, you seem better to me. What's going on? People say, have you been getting that?
Have you been getting people?
My one cousin told my sister that. She said something about Renee is different, and I'm like, I smile more. I don't take offense more if it's not my. I don't know if you ever seen A Good Doctor, and he see things in his mind.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know you're talking about the show.
Yeah. So when there's offense coming in mind, like, check it off. It's not my offense. Definitely deal with it. Yes, but I do it in a better way.
Yes.
So I'm learning not to just bow down with everything on me, like I'm going to explode. So yes.
It feels so great when we give our worries to God, don't it?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I do a
That's
lot
what he's there for.
Yeah, a lot of praying. God help me with this, help me with, by listening to the virtually Pastor Mike guitar, give it to God, and offense that's not yours, take it on up.
That's it.
Leave it alone.
Yes, that's what. Now you walking. That's on this Christian walk. When we give our problems over to God, we walking in. That's what we now you walking. So it's a great life.
Yes,
knowing that you're walking with God.
Yes, it is.
That's it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Miss Renee. And I'm going to keep tabs on you like always, and keep tabs on your story. And maybe we can have you back after a while to, after you've gotten to that point. I want to hear you say, you know what, Marley, I have forgiven myself. Now we're showing people now what it looks like to start on that path, because it's been just a few months for you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? This is only a few months that all of this has happened. And I believe it's just the beginning and to something way greater that's coming for you. And I want to be able to show people that. Right. All right.
I'm getting there.
You getting there. We're gonna have you back. And this when it happened, I want to hear it. I'm like, I want you to say, Marley, I've forgiven myself. I want to hear those words.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much to my guest today, Ms. Rena Renee, who so courageously told her story and let us in on her journey to forgiveness. Forgiveness is a long path, but it's one that is worthwhile if we take the strength that it needs to go ahead and just start that journey towards forgiving yourself. When you forgive yourself and receive God's grace for yourself, it makes it that much easier to give it to others. So I hope you got that from our conversation today. And if you like this conversation, please like it, please share it, and definitely please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And definitely don't forget to check us out on iHeart Radio as well as Apple Podcasts. Well, on this walk with God, forgiveness is something that we just have to get used to. We got to forgive others. We have to definitely forgive ourselves. And all of that is going to happen as we develop in our relationship with God. And when it comes to being in relationship with God, loving Him can be easy. Trusting Him can definitely be hard. But I believe we can all get there one step at a time on this Christian walk. I'll see you next time.
Walk with me, talk with me. What you know about God? Will He ride with me? Come and open my eyes for me, hear my story. Show me more what's in store. And once more, listen, homie, can you walk with me? Talk with me. What you know about God? Will He ride with me? Come and open my eyes for me, hear my story. Show me more what's in store. And once more, listen, homie, can you walk? Can you walk? Let's walk.